When the Atlanta Hawks traded 3 first-round picks for Dejounte Murray a year and a half ago, I don't think they expected to be 10th in the East and 6 games under 500. Now, is that something that I expected? Well, of course, because Dejounte Murray is ass.
Here comes Murray, a 3 for the lead. He made it!
Okay, maybe I'm still salty that he hit the game winner on Udonis Haslem. But anyways, it's obvious that the Hawks are struggling a lot again. And given the fact that Dejounte Murray has a major trade extension kicking in next season, in which he'll be making over $25 million a year, it's becoming more clear that they probably want to move on from him and find a better duo to work with Trae Young. So these rumors have been going on for quite some time now, and actually about a month ago, I made a Murray to the Heat trade package video in which I had the Heat getting Dejounte Murray, Patty Mills, and sending off Kyle Lowry's expiring, Caleb Martin, Nikola Jovic, and 2 first-round picks. Now, I had a lot of Heat fans tell me that that was way too much value, but Heat fans do that at every trade package I send because, you know, it's human nature for a fan to overvalue their own assets. We all do it, right? But maybe those Heat fans were onto something, because we got the report today from Shams Charania saying that the Lakers essentially have a deal in place to get Dejounte Murray, but the Hawks want to find a third team to relocate D'Angelo Russell because they don't want to pay the extra year of his contract. Hold on, I'm getting these notifications. Did a trade happen? No, it's Santi of Santi Goated Gaming. He does the Battlefield videos. Check him out below. He must know when I'm filming and want a shout out, but he's trying to tell me that KD has 40 points. Like I care, on a night that Joel Embiid just dropped 70 and Karl Anthony Towns just dropped 66 in a loss, which is actually really funny. But anyways, going back to this report from Shams, he's basically saying that all the Hawks want in return for Dejounte Murray is an expiring contract and a first-round pick. You'd think they want more value since they just traded 3 first-round picks for Dejounte Murray a year and a half ago. But if this is the case, the Miami Heat have a large expiring contract, and Kyle Lowry, who every Heat fan can't wait to get rid of, and they got a couple first-round picks. But I don't want to waste too much time talking about the Heat today because we even got another report today from some unknown guy who basically just said the Heat aren't interested in Dejounte Murray as they want to go looking forward with like other cheaper options. I don't even need to know who the source of this is because I know it's true. If y'all are Heat fans, you know it's true. You know the Heat don't get anybody, and they haven't traded for a player since Nemanja Bjelica. So let that sink in for a second. So the Heat will not be getting Dejounte Murray, but there was an article today from, what's this guy's name? Doric Sam of Bleacher Report, who said that there's now a few teams vying to get Dejounte Murray. That'd be the Warriors, Spurs, Bucks, Lakers, and 76ers. So what I kind of did is I went in the Fanspo trade machine and cooked up a trade package with all of those, you know, teams fighting for him, and I kind of ranked them in order of least likely to most likely. And the first one that we got here is with the Milwaukee Bucks, who have no shot in hell of getting Dejounte Murray. Let me tell you that right now. There was that big breaking news graphic from one of the national reporters, and I'm over here thinking that Murray was traded. No, it was breaking news. The Bucks are interested in Dejounte Murray. Yeah, no crap, because he's a good player. There's 29 other teams that are interested in Dejounte Murray. This is just a dumb report. I didn't even add no picks here because the Bucks have no picks. They have no tradable first. Even though Fanspo might be glitching, like they literally said the Bucks didn't have a first round pick from like 2027 to 2029, which isn't possible because of the Stepien rule. You got to have a first round pick at least every other year. But they did all kind of like pick swaps with the Trailblazers and the Dame stuff. So who knows how any of that works. Moral of the story, they're not getting Dejounte Murray. If they wanted to make the salaries match, they'd have to send out Bobby Portis and Pat Connaughton. But we can move on. We spent too much time talking about that. He will not end up on the Milwaukee Bucks book market. The next one that's not going to happen is the San Antonio Spurs, whose really only great expiring they had, or at least large enough, was Doug McDermott. And he's obviously not of any value to the Hawks whatsoever. He's 32 years old, surprisingly. So that's just why I attached 2 first-round picks here, because you'd hope in some sort of Murray trade, especially if the Hawks only get 1 first-round pick, they'd want some sort of win-now player as well. The Spurs have none. Obviously, that team is terrible. They just gave up 70 points to Joel Embiid tonight. So I don't think this is likely anyways, because the Hawks could certainly get better value. But it was a little bit interesting considering Murray used to play for the Spurs, and they actually asked him recently if he would like to go back to the Spurs, and he was like very gung-ho about it. That's something that Kenny Beecham brought up on the Kenny Beecham podcast, if y'all heard that. And I agree with what Kenny was saying. He's like, why the hell is Dejounte Murray talking about how much he'd love to play for another team while he's still currently on a team? I found that a bit odd, and that just adds to the fact that I believe Murray will be traded before the February 8th trade deadline, but he's not going to the Spurs, so we can cross that out. This next one is a little bit interesting, although I say not very likely. It's the Golden State Warriors. Now, the Warriors have a ton of money tied up into Curry and Clay and Draymond and Wiggins and Chris Paul, right? So they don't have any large expiring contracts. Obviously, you might expect Jonathan Kuminga to be involved in this trade because we know there's kind of a bit of a fallout there with him and Steve Kerr and whatnot. But the only other way to make the money work, unless the Warriors were to trade Chris Paul or something, was to trade Andrew Wiggins, who at this point has one of the worst contracts in the NBA, even though he's just, 2 years removed of being an all-star starter. But this year, Wiggins is only averaging like 11 points. He's under 30% from three, not much better from the field goal range. Now, I do want to say it sounds like he might have some personal stuff going on. I don't know if that's contributing to his play, but regardless, he's got 4 years left on his deal, making over $24 million a year for a guy that's giving you 11 points per game. It's not, an exaggeration to say he has one of the worst contracts in the NBA. Now, do the Hawks, as a young team that could use a three, that could score and play defense, help Trae Young in both of those areas, would they want to take a chance on Andrew Wiggins that maybe he could bounce back to that 2020, 2021 form? Maybe they would. And if on top of that, they're also getting a nice prospect in Jonathan Kuminga, who's shown flashes, and a first-round pick, maybe there is some credence to this trade. Now, I don't think it's great. I don't think it's super realistic. But hey, if anyone had incentive to take a swing on Andrew Wiggins, maybe it's them. I just unfortunately think that's an untradeable contract at the moment, and that's really the only money the Warriors have to get Dejounte Murray, unless they trade one of their big three. So moving on to the last two trades, ones that I would say are more realistic. I got the Philadelphia 76ers, who could send over Marcus Morris Sr.'s expiring deal and a first-round pick. Now, really, the only benefit of this to the Hawks is they get off Murray's money. They get an expiring deal. Now, you could maybe add in a second-round pick here because obviously long-term Marcus Morris is not helping the Hawks. He's an older player, but if they wanted to try to sacrifice this season, or not sacrifice the season, but make something out of this season, he's still a relatively decent player. But there's plenty of other options on the Sixers to kind of match that money. So I just kind of threw Morris in there, and they have the picks to do it. That's kind of why I just wanted to say that I do think this is a possibility, especially when you're talking about pairing, Murray in the backcourt with a guy like Tyrese Maxey, who's very offensive oriented. I think that pairing between the two could work very well, even though when you go to a team like the Hawks, Murray and Trae Young aren't working very well. But obviously Trae Young has his limits on defense, and the rest of the team is kind of sucks at defense too. But on Philadelphia, you obviously got Joel Embiid, very good at defense, and then you pair that with Dejounte Murray and Tyrese Maxey. They could get themselves a nice, rotation. You can kind of see what I'm saying there. So maybe it's likely, but the trade that I am saving for last is the Los Angeles Lakers, because I do believe when there's smoke, there's fire. Except really with NBA trades, if you think about it. The trades that happen are always the ones that you don't hear about, like Donovan Mitchell to the Cavs, for example, Kyrie Irving to the Mavericks, for another example. But with this Dejounte Murray to the Lakers, there's a little bit too much smoke, and I do think this trade's happening sooner than later. I even posted the Pascal Siakam to Indiana Pacers video a day before that was official, just because there was a lot of smoke around it. And when you consider the sources it's coming from, like Shams Charania, if it's either him or Woj, that kind of obviously means more, which is why I do think that inevitably Dejounte Murray does end up on the Los Angeles Lakers. Now, whether the Hawks could find a third team for D'Lo or not, doesn't really matter because he only has 2 years left on his deal, meaning he'd be an expiring contract next season. And hey, if D'Lo plays well for them, he's shown the ability to play well. He's a very good player. maybe they could package his expiring to get even more assets next season. I don't really see the Hawks as a team that's going to sign somebody big in free agency this offseason anyways. So maybe they're better off getting a guy like D'Lo who only has 2 years left. It's not like you're stuck with him for 4 years. And then it shouldn't be too hard to trade an expiring $17 million contract next season. So that's part of the reason why I do think this trade is the most likely. You even saw D'Angelo Russell, emotional on the bench the other day. It sounds like he may be realizing that his time with the Lakers is up. Obviously, he was drafted to them. He's very, emotionally invested into that franchise. So when you see him get emotional like that, you think that, it might all be coming to an end. That's why I do think this trade is probably the most likely now. Again, it could be something out of nowhere. I don't know if y'all have any ideas. Let me know down in the comments below. I've heard the Knicks, I've heard the Pistons want to try to not be embarrassing. I think it'd be stupid for the Pistons to do that, but there's all kind of options. So let me know what y'all think down below. Make sure to like the video and subscribe because both of those things genuinely help me out a lot. And I'll be reading all your comments and replying. And I'll see y'all next time. So peace out.
Look, pull up in your city tryna get that dead face. Do it on my own, I don't need no dead weight. Had to kill him off, yeah, I need a head space. You know this homegrown bitch don't offend me.